There are two pillows on my bed, one to lean on and one to hug. On the first day of school, my aloof and stunning seatmate Victoria unexpectedly started a conversation with me. "Can you stop hugging your pillow at night?" she asked. I was utterly baffled. That night, I hugged my pillow even tighter. The next day, Victoria's face flushed red as she said, "If you really must hug it, can you not hug it so tightly?" Years later, Victoria unceremoniously tossed my pillow aside and said, "Don't hug that. Hug me instead." I've always had this habit of hugging a pillow to sleep. It makes me feel secure. Without it, I'd feel restless. The night before school started, I was frantically finishing up my homework, working until 2 in the morning. Exhausted with an aching back, I just wanted to snuggle up to my soft, fragrant pillow. After changing into my pajamas, I dropped into bed. Oddly, my pillow seemed to have a faint reddish hue. It's just a trick of the light, I thought. Hugging my soft pillow, I couldn't resist taking a deep breath, but the scent seemed a little different from before. Mom must have changed the fabric softener, I guessed. Before long, I drifted off to sleep. The next morning, I woke up blushing furiously. I had dreamed about Victoria, my aloof seatmate of 2.5 years. We'd barely exchanged enough words to count on 2 hands, and I doubted she even knew my name. How could I dream about her, of all people? And in that dream, it was so embarrassing. When I arrived at class, Victoria was already at her seat. Remembering my dream, I couldn't bring myself to look at her. Awkward and flustered, I pretended to be busy cleaning my desk. "Can you stop hugging your pillow at night?" The soft, pleasant voice startled me. I turned my head slowly to find myself face to face with Victoria. "Are you talking to me?" I pointed at myself. "Who else?" she replied coolly. How did she know I hugged my pillow at night? And more importantly, why did it even matter to her? Feeling confused, I blurted out, "Why can't I hug my pillow? It's not like I'm hugging you." At that, a faint blush crept across her face. She turned her head away and muttered, "Suit yourself." What was with her mood swings? Still, the fact that she initiated a conversation with me was mind-boggling. That evening, after returning home from study hall, I couldn't help but think about Victoria's strange remark as I looked at my pillow. Did she somehow have a camera in my room? Ridiculous. That didn't fit her personality. After a shower, I happily climbed into bed, hugging my pillow tightly once again. Taking another deep breath, I wondered what brand of fabric softener my mom had used. The scent was so familiar, but I couldn't quite place it. Victoria told me not to hug my pillow, so of course, I did the opposite. Wrapping both arms and legs around it, I clung to it for dear life. That night, I dreamed about Victoria again. Except this time, the dream was even more vivid. I'm an innocent, pure-hearted 18-year-old boy. How could I have such a dream? In it, Victoria gently called me Ollie, her hand softly brushing my cheek and running through my hair. Her lips hovered close to my ear, teasing me with warm breaths. I wrapped my arms around her neck, trying to draw her closer, but she held back, teasingly evasive. When I woke up, I found myself lingering on the memory of the dream. Looking in the mirror, I saw my face flush red, the color creeping down my neck and disappearing under my pajama collar. Frustrated with myself, I raked my hands through my messy hair. What is wrong with me? At school, I avoided Victoria even more. I didn't notice that she was also avoiding my gaze. When a boy walked past our desk, he looked at both of us curiously before blurting out, "Why are your faces so red? You two look like a newlywed couple." Then, as if he'd had an epiphany, he added, "Oh, are you two dating?" Victoria and I shouted in unison, "No!" The boy jumped, startled, then gave us a strange look before returning to his seat. Both of us sat there, stunned. Stealing a glance at Victoria, I quickly looked away when our eyes met. A moment later, she called my name. "Ollie." Her tone was polite but distant, nothing like the dream. "Didn't I tell you to stop hugging your pillow at night? You're being really weird. How do you even know I hug my pillow when I sleep?" Victoria hesitated, her voice faltering slightly as she replied, "If I told you that the pillow you hug at night is MME." I froze, my mind racing back to my dream. I had been hugging her. But it was a pillow, Victoria continued. I know it's hard to believe, but I have proof. She raised her arm and brought it close to my nose. Instinctively, I took a sniff. Wait, this scent. It's familiar. It's exactly the same as my pillows, Victoria coughed lightly. Familiar, isn't it? It's the same as your pillow's scent. I even know you have a habit of sniffing it before you sleep. Isn't this enough proof? I was utterly stunned. So Victoria really had turned into my pillow, and I'd been hugging her in my sleep? Wait, how many nights had this been going on? I looked at her, my voice shaky as I asked, How long have you been turning into my pillow? Avoiding my gaze, Victoria looked guilty and didn't answer. It probably started during the break last semester. That would only be about 10 days, right? Meaning I've been sleeping with a girl in my arms for these 10 days straight. Suddenly, as if a thought had struck me, I slowly turned my head to look at Arya. Wait, I often change clothes in my room. Does that mean you've seen everything? Arya's face turned an even deeper shade of red as she looked at me. Sorry, I wanted to tell you on the first night, but you didn't accept my friend request. I kept trying to add you on Green Chat, but you thought I was a scammer and didn't approve it. Oh right, I do recall a completely black-profiled user trying to add me during the break. I ignored it, thinking it was a bot. I don't know why, but at night I become your pillow. If you must hold on to something to sleep, maybe try switching to a different pillow. Still processing everything, I just nodded. The situation between Arya and me was beyond awkward now. Before this, we were just unfamiliar desk mates. But now? Now we were two people who had literally slept together. That night, I left the pillow I'd been hugging on the living room sofa. That was already the biggest courtesy I could extend to Arya. See, I'm thoughtful I didn't just stash it away in the closet. In case she'd transferred over again, at least she'd have the sofa to rest on comfortably. But I absolutely had to hug a pillow to sleep. It's a habit I've had since childhood. So, I dug out another pillow from the closet, sniffed it to make sure it had no scent, and then hugged it to sleep. The next morning at school, I cautiously leaned over to Arya and whispered, I switched pillows last night. Did you still transfer over? She nodded. I hesitated before asking again. I left the pillow you used on the sofa. Did you sleep all right? Arya remained silent for a moment, then spoke with a complicated expression. I still ended up sleeping in your arms. Wait, does that mean whichever pillow I hug, that's the one you transfer to? Arya sighed and replied, Yes. I held my head in my hands, feeling utterly defeated, and looked at her exasperated. Fine. Tonight I'll try to sleep without hugging a pillow. Turns out that was easier said than done. That night I lay on my big bed, tossing and turning, unable to fall asleep. I resisted the urge to grab a pillow, which resulted in me staying wide awake the entire night. The next morning, Arya glanced at the dark circles under my eyes with a trace of pity. If it's that hard for you, just hug the pillow. Just don't hold it so tight, I can feel it. I could practically feel my face turning red. What does she mean, don't hold it so tight? How embarrassing. I pretended to organize my desk and stammered, I'll keep that in mind. Thanks for your understanding, I'll hold it. More gently. Thankfully, the bell rang just then. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known how to continue this conversation. What kind of bizarre situation is this? By the end of the day, Arya and I had barely spoken, just like before. But the strange tension between us lingered, making everything feel off. As we packed up to leave, I couldn't help but ask, Arya, are you of age? She seemed to avoid my gaze but nodded. I turned 18 last month. Pfft. I couldn't help but laugh. She shot me a look. What's so funny? I quickly suppressed my smile, trying to look serious. Sorry, I just thought of a trending joke from a while back. What joke? Oh, it's nothing. I'm of age too, by the way. I slung my backpack over my shoulder. Anyway, I'm heading home now. See you tomorrow, desk mate. I used to love bedtime the most. Now, I wish I didn't have to sleep at all. After showering, I stared at the pillow on my bed, lost in thought. Slowly, I lay down, giving myself a mental pep talk. Finally, I picked up the pillow and hugged it gently. The thought that the pillow might actually be a girl made my heart race. I licked my dry lips and whispered, Arya, you've probably transferred over again, right? Don't worry, I'm holding you very lightly. The next moment, a soft voice came from the pillow. What the? I jumped and threw the pillow across the room. Ah, the pillow spoke again. It's me, Arya. I raised an eyebrow. You didn't tell me you could talk now. The pillow, Arya replied. I couldn't before, but for some reason I can today. Just like how you couldn't smell my scent before, but suddenly could the night before school started. Oh. I rubbed my chin thoughtfully. So you're saying that when you transfer to the pillow you keep evolving? Maybe. I suddenly had a horrifying thought. What if in a few days you grow pillow arms or pillow legs? That would be terrifying. I don't know. Now hurry up and hold me so we can sleep. We have to get up early tomorrow. I hesitantly picked up pillow Arya, murmured a soft good night, and closed my eyes again. Soon I could hear her steady breathing from my arms. She fell asleep just like that, so calm. How was she so relaxed? Meanwhile, I couldn't sleep at all. Even though I was exhausted, I just couldn't drift off. Her breathing and the faint scent she carried made me feel like I was cuddling my wife after marriage. I tried counting sheep. 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 3 sheep, 300 sheep, 101 areas. I don't know when I eventually fell asleep, but in my dreams, Arya appeared again. She kept calling my name. This time I knew I was dreaming, so when she tried to hug me, I dodged her. The next morning, Oliver's voice jolted me awake. Ollie, wake up, you're going to be late. Ugh, so noisy, I grumbled, clutching the pillow tighter and turning over, my eyes still shut. Oliver, wake up already. Arya's voice pierced through my sleep as I groaned and buried my head deeper into the pillow. Arya, can you stop shouting? You've been yelling at me all night. Suddenly, the door to my room burst open, and my mom's booming voice filled the space. Oliver, why are you still in bed? You've only got 20 minutes before your morning study session starts. Her words jolted me awake. I glanced at my watch, 6:40 a.m. Oh no. I was going to be late and get scolded by the teacher. I scrambled out of bed, threw on my clothes, washed up, and rushed to the bathroom in record time. With a quick attempt to tame my messy hair, I hopped on my bike and pedaled furiously to school. Arriving at the classroom door, I checked the time, 6:59 a.m. Just in time, relieved, I stepped inside but noticed something odd. The seat next to mine was still empty. Arya always arrived an hour early to study. Had she taken the day off or gone to the restroom? The bell rang, and the classroom buzzed with the sound of students reciting their lessons. The homeroom teacher walked in, scanned the classroom, and stopped at my desk. Oliver, is Arya still not here? Did she go to the restroom? Just as I was about to reply that I had no idea, I heard Arya's voice at the door. Reporting in, she said. The teacher gestured for her to enter and asked why she was late. Arya simply replied, I overslept. The teacher didn't press further and reminded her to be punctual next time before moving on. Arya sat down beside me and I couldn't help but lean over. Hey, seatmate, you overslept? That's rare. She shot me a glance that was half annoyed, half amused. Wasn't it you who overslept? Wait, how did she know? Before she could answer, it hit me this morning. I had heard her voice calling me to wake up. You mean you were at my place this morning? Yeah, starting yesterday. When you wake up, I can return to my own body, she explained. My face flushed with embarrassment, and I pressed my palms together in a sheepish gesture. Sorry, my bad. It won't happen again. Then a thought struck me. But I wasn't late. How come you were? My house is farther from school, she replied, flipping through her notebook. By the way, you said I called you all night. What did you mean? I froze, realizing the truth. She had been calling me all night in my dreams. Trying to deflect, I stammered. I dreamt of a little dog barking all night. Her raised eyebrow told me she wasn't buying it. This morning you said, Arya, stop shouting. You've been yelling at me all night. Well, the dog was named Arya just like you. Funny coincidence, right? I laughed nervously. Do you think I believe that? Before I could dig myself into a deeper hole, the bell for recess rang. Arya handed me a sandwich. Here, she said. Grateful, I took it without hesitation. Thanks, you're pretty thoughtful. She must have known I didn't have time for breakfast. I pulled out 2 bottles of milk from my bag and gave her one. I had just stuck a straw into mine when someone came to the classroom door looking for her. Arya stepped out, and moments later, the hallway erupted in cheers. Curious, I grabbed my sandwich and joined the crowd. The source of the commotion was Arya and a handsome guy holding a letter. His face was red as he nervously held out the note to her. "Arya, I like you. Please accept my love letter." I nudged the classmate next to me. "Hey, who's this guy? You don't know? That's Jasper, the prince of our school. He's good-looking, smart, and comes from a wealthy family." I nodded and turned back to the scene. Arya, looking calm, replied, "I appreciate your feelings, but I don't want to date until after we graduate. Sorry." For a moment the air was thick with silence. Then Jasper broke into a smile, looking completely unbothered. "I understand. I'll wait until after graduation to pursue you." Before Arya could respond, Jasper dashed off, leaving the crowd to disperse. I returned to my seat and resumed eating my breakfast as Arya came back. Feigning nonchalance, I glanced at her. "Seatmate, your admirer is pretty handsome." She shot back, "Not as handsome as you." I choked on my sandwich, coughing uncontrollably. "I'm not handsome. I know my limits." Her response stunned me. She'd always been quiet and reserved, the type who barely spoke. Bantering like this wasn't her style. As I continued coughing, she sighed and patted my back, her expression a mix of exasperation and amusement. Time flew by, and soon graduation was only weeks away. Arya still visited nightly, and I had grown used to hugging her like a pillow as I slept. These nights, which began with me feeling anxious about exams, always ended with her steady breathing calming me down. I started staying up an hour later to tackle my weakest subject, math. My frustration grew as I struggled with problem after problem, chewing my nails in despair. Arya offered to tutor me, and her explanations were so clear that my grades began improving. The countdown to exams ticked down from double digits to single. On the evening of June 6th, Arya was still going over key topics with me, reminding me to flip through the textbook one more time. Of course, I listened to her advice. She was brilliant after all. I quickly pulled out my book. By 9 p.m. I was hugging my pillow, ready to sleep with Arya. The next morning, when I opened my eyes, I looked at the pillow in my arms and whispered softly, "Arya, good luck." After 2 busy days, the exams were finally over. During the exams, I didn't see Arya at all since we weren't in the same test room. Walking out of the school, I let out a small sigh of relief. I felt I had performed decently and was confident I could get into a good university. It was finally over. But on the night of June 7th, Arya didn't appear on my pillow anymore. I wasn't sure how I felt, just a hollow emptiness inside. Maybe Arya was happy. After all, she no longer had to endure me hugging her every night. She could finally return to her normal life. On June 10th, the class president organized a farewell party for everyone. I felt a bit of anticipation, but wasn't sure exactly what I was looking forward to. Perhaps it was because I knew this might be the last time I'd see Arya. After all, we would soon be heading in different directions. When I reached the private room, I saw Arya standing at a distance, her back facing me. Just as I was about to call out to her, I noticed someone standing in front of her, a guy. They seemed to be in conversation. I heard Arya call his name Jasper. My heart sank a little, and I hurried into the private room. Inside, it turned out to be a confession scene. Sophia, the class representative, was holding a bouquet, confessing to her seatmate amidst the cheers of our classmates. I joined in the teasing and laughter, but my mind wasn't fully present. I watched as the girl accepted Sophia's confession, and the two embraced tightly. Ah, the beauty of mutual love, I thought to myself. Out of reflex, I glanced toward the doorway and happened to see Arya walk in. Our eyes met briefly before quickly looking away. She approached me. Today she wore a white dress with her long hair cascading down her back. She looked stunning. She raised her head, gazed at me, and said, "Congratulations on graduating, Oliver." I smiled back and replied, "You too." Arya seemed like she wanted to say something but ultimately held back. During the entire party, she sat next to me, but we barely spoke. When the gathering ended, I opened my arms and gave her a sweet smile. Hey, Arya, let's have a hug. We probably won't get another chance after this. She nodded gently and hugged me. I greedily inhaled her familiar scent, wishing I could hold on to her a little longer. But all good things must come to an end. Before we parted, Arya stood on her tiptoes and patted my head. It was the first time she had ever done that. "Oliver," she said, "if you ever face any challenges, you can always come to me. My contact info will never change." Later, I heard in our class group chat that Arya had aced her exams and was the state's top scorer. Both Harvard and Stanford were competing to enroll her, but she ultimately chose Stanford. I also heard that Prince, our school's golden boy, followed in her footsteps to Stanford. It seems that outstanding people are naturally drawn to each other. As for me, I got into a good university in the southern part of the country. College life turned out to be more demanding than I had imagined, sometimes even more hectic than high school. But every day felt fulfilling. At night I would hug my pillow, lost in thought, reminiscing about high school. Occasionally Arya's face would come to mind, a face that seemed expressionless at first glance, but grew more captivating the more you looked at it. Sometimes I would check her social media, hoping to see a selfie or something, though deep down I knew it was unlikely. Sure enough, her profile was completely empty. If only I could see her again. She's probably shining even brighter in college now, meeting lots of new people. She's probably forgotten about me. During the second semester of my freshman year, a senior from my club, Emma, confessed her feelings to me. I turned her down, but she said she still wanted to be friends. I thought it was unnecessary, but since we were in the same club and would see each other often, I decided not to make things awkward. Among my 4 dorm mates, I was the only one still single. They often teased me, saying, "Ollie, why do you seem so uninterested in girls?" I grinned and joked because deep down I already have an unforgettable muse. They laughed it off, thinking I was just being dramatic. One morning I received a message from Arya. "Oliver, I heard you're at a university. I'm in town for some business. Are you free to meet up?" As soon as I saw the message, I jumped out of bed and quickly replied, "Yes, I'm free. Not busy at all these days." My dorm mates were startled and asked what was going on. Struggling to contain my excitement, I told them, "The muse of my heart wants to meet me." After taking a shower and changing into fresh clothes, I headed to the cafe where Arya and I had agreed to meet. When I arrived, I saw her already seated inside. Taking a deep breath to calm my racing heart, I walked in. "Arya," I called out. She looked up at the sound of my voice, and our eyes met for a few seconds before we both turned away awkwardly. I sat down and she looked at me again. "It's been a while, Oliver." "Yeah, it's been a while," I replied, momentarily lost in thought as I gazed at her face. She hadn't changed a bit, still the same 18-year-old girl in my memories. She wore casual clothes and carried that familiar, comforting scent. "How's college life?" Arya asked. I pressed my lips together briefly before answering. "It's fulfilling. I've made a lot of new friends." Her gaze lowered slightly. "And have you ever thought of me?" Hearing such a suggestive comment, my eyes lit up for a moment. Feeling a bit nervous, I started to speak. "Ah, you're so beautiful. Of course I'd think of you. What about you?" Arya suddenly gazed at me seriously. Her almond-shaped eyes seemed to hold a serene lake, clear and bright. She said, "Oliver, I've missed you." Her tender words, paired with her affectionate gaze, made my face flush instantly. Just then, someone called my name. I turned to look and realized it was Emma, the girl who had confessed her feelings to me. She smiled at me and said, "Oh, it really is you, Ollie. I thought I'd mistaken someone else for you." Awkwardly, I returned her smile. Emma then noticed Arya sitting across from me and asked, "Is this your girlfriend?" I quickly clarified, "No, she's my high school classmate. She's in town for some errands and decided to catch up with me." Emma let out an "oh" as though relieved and said, "Let's grab dinner next time then." She left. After Emma walked away, my gaze returned to Arya, only to find her staring in the direction Emma had left with a not-so-pleasant look in her eyes. I called her name and she snapped back to reality. Then I heard Arya ask, "Do you have a girlfriend?" I shook my head, "No." She asked again, "Was that girl just now one of your admirers?" Realizing she was referring to Emma, I explained, "I turned her down. After a moment of silence, Arya spoke again. "Oliver, can I pursue you?" "Huh?" Her question caught me off guard and I froze on the spot. Arya likes me? I wasn't sure whether to feel happy or surprised. Pressing my lips together, I mulled over how to respond. After a long inner struggle, I blurted out, "Suit yourself." What a half-hearted reply. My tendency to fumble my words in moments of tension, will I ever change? Arya, however, laughed. I hurriedly added, "You're a girl. It should be me pursuing you." Hearing this, Arya's eyes curved into a smile. All right. That day, Arya and I had dinner together, watched a movie, visited an amusement park, and did all the things typical couples do during dates. In the evening, we booked 2 separate hotel rooms. Her flight was at 10 a.m. the next morning. At the airport, I held Arya's hand, reluctant to let her go. I couldn't resist bending down and kissing her cheek. Her earlobes turned crimson in an instant. Burying my face into her shoulder, I mumbled, "Arya, let's be together now." I was afraid that if I didn't make things clear today, she might regret this later. Arya stroked my head and chuckled softly. "All right, boyfriend. I'll come visit you often." Just after meeting, we had to part ways again. I felt an emptiness in my heart. My hug tightened around her. "I'll come visit you too." Back at my dorm, I shared the news of my relationship with Arya with my roommates. They were ecstatic for me and congratulated me on finally being off the market. Sitting on my bed, I spaced out, thinking about how surreal it all felt. Yesterday, I had simply planned to see Arya once, just to catch up. Never had I imagined we'd end up together. But now that we were, I found myself wanting more, wanting to be with her every moment. She likes me. Why does she like me? Is this a dream? While I was lost in thought, Arya sent me a voice message. "Ollie, I didn't come to your city for errands. I came specifically to see you." Hearing her call me Ollie in her words, I couldn't help but smile. She called me Ollie. I put on my headphones and replayed her message over a dozen times, my lips curling upwards each time. Wes, my roommate, noticed and clicked his tongue twice. The unmistakable stench of romance. That night, as I hugged my pillow to sleep, I caught a familiar scent. I couldn't help but whisper, "Arya." After a brief pause, the pillow answered back, "I'm here." Arya had become my pillow again, and I couldn't contain my excitement. Doesn't this mean we won't have to do long distance? I had so much I wanted to share with Arya, but glancing at my sleeping roommates, I kept quiet. Instead, I kissed the pillow lightly and whispered, "Good night, Arya." The next day, I applied to live off campus. The approval came quickly. Now, when I faced pillow Arya, I no longer felt the initial awkwardness or shyness. In the evenings, after returning home, I would chatter on endlessly about the things that happened at school. Arya just listened quietly. Fearing I might bore her, I asked, "I talk a lot. Do you find it annoying?" "No, I find it interesting," she replied. After a brief pause, she added, "Why didn't you talk to me in high school?" I recalled her cold, distant demeanor back then and answered truthfully, "You always had this don't mess with me vibe. I didn't dare approach you. Well, I didn't enjoy talking to others, but you were an exception. I liked hearing you talk." I laughed, realizing that sweet romantic moments are not just fun to watch, they're even better to experience firsthand. After graduating college, Arya and I got married. I immediately posted a couple's picture on social media. One of my high school classmates commented, "I knew there was something going on between you two, you just wouldn't admit it back then." I replied, "Come to New York sometime for the wedding banquet." After the wedding, Arya became my human-shaped pillow. One night, lying in bed, I asked her, "Why do you smell so good? Are you wearing perfume or using some special detergent?" Arya stared at my lips and answered, "It's a scent only you can perceive the fragrance of love." I pinched the soft flesh at her waist playfully and teased, "You've changed." "How?" "You've become even more beautiful." The next moment I smiled and kissed her lips. One day, Arya's cousin Wes came to visit. While Arya was in the kitchen slicing fruit, Wes leaned in and whispered to me, "Hey bro-in-law, let me tell you something. My sis called me once asking for advice on how to win over a guy." I was totally shocked. I never thought someone as reserved as her would ever have a moment of enlightenment. I told her to just confess directly. And to my surprise, she actually did it. Before Wes could finish his story, Arya walked out with a plate of fruit. She plopped herself down between us, handed me a toothpick, and smiled sweetly at Wes. "Wesley, Auntie wants you to head back home right now." "But sis, I just got here," he protested. I picked up a piece of apple and fed it to Arya, smiling just as sweetly at Wes. "You should go now, Wes. Your sister and I need some alone time." As I looked at the love of my life sitting beside me, a memory from the day we graduated high school came rushing back. I had been terrified that once we parted ways, I might never see her again. Back then, I had lamented the inevitability of all goodbyes, but later Arya had told me, in life people cross paths everywhere. And as for our crossing paths, well, that's because you chose to run toward me. Arya's side story: during the first semester of senior year, on the day our holiday break started, I found myself transformed into a pillow. Yes, a pillow. And not just any pillow, Oliver's pillow. I couldn't believe it. I was lying there on the bed, unable to move, when I saw Oliver pull his pajamas out of the closet. It hit me immediately what was about to happen. Overwhelmed with embarrassment, I shut my eyes tightly, my face burning red. What I didn't expect was that he was going to hug the pillow as he slept. Even more unexpected, he buried his face into it and took a deep sniff. The next day, I was desperate to tell Oliver about what had happened. I found his messaging account and sent him a friend request, hoping to explain everything, but he didn't accept it. I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone else about this and ask them to deliver the message for me. My only option was to wait until school started again. On the first day back, I finally told him, "Oliver, stop hugging your pillow when you sleep." He raised an eyebrow and quipped, "It's not like I was hugging you." I flushed. Wasn't he, though? He literally had been, but I was too embarrassed to explain further, so I just muttered, "Whatever." That night, he hugged the pillow even tighter. I was so flustered I couldn't sleep a wink. The next morning, I mustered up the courage to tell him everything. He was clearly shocked, but surprisingly considerate. "All right," he said, "I'll use a different pillow tonight." Sure, that seemed like a good solution until I found myself on the new pillow he'd chosen. Apparently, whichever pillow he hugged at night, I'd end up inhabiting. By the third day, Oliver decided to try sleeping without hugging a pillow at all. But when I saw the dark circles under his eyes the next morning, I couldn't help but feel sorry for him. Clearly, hugging a pillow was a habit he just couldn't break. Oh well, let him hug the pillow. If it brings him comfort, who am I to stop him?